Yo, how we doing, everybody? Welcome back to another Outriders video. Now that Worldslayer has been out for a little bit and we kind of have a sense of how everything is stacking up with like how all the mods are balanced and all the different skills, I want to make a Pyromancer skills tier list because that's probably how it's going to be staying, and that way you guys can know going in the future just kind of where these are stacking up against each other, and also maybe give you guys some ideas on how to build different variants of these. Now, this is just all going to be my personal opinion. If you guys think something's better or worse than what I say it is, make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below. It's awesome to have a discussion about all these different things, and at the end of the day, really doesn't matter. It's just all our personal preference. But super quick, before we fully jump into the video, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. By now, you guys have heard of Raid a bunch of times. With over 600 champions and hundreds of artifacts to go with them, you can build your team in pretty much any way you want. Now, if you guys have been around the channel for a while, you guys know I love to make builds in all of the different games that I play, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about Raid. There are just so many different combinations you can put together for your team. It's all just a huge puzzle for you to figure out and put together and end up with a team that you really enjoy. But what's new in Raid? There's actually a lot happening this month. They're bringing out 5 brand new champions, and they're also overhauling the champion vault. And on top of all that, Raid's running a huge series of Summer Splash events for the entire month where you can get your hands on some incredible skins for everyone's favorite dwarf, Trunda. Raid is also running a special Delania Chase event where you can get your hands on the legendary champion for free. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 28th. And if you're a new player, you could enter the promo code MyDelania to get your hands on everything. But right now is a great time to get started in Raid. If you click on my link in the description or scan my QR code, you can get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard. All this treasure will be waiting for you guys right here in game. But once again, thank you to Raid for sponsoring today's video. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into this Pyromancer skills tier list. For this list, we're going to go straight down the line of skills, and starting that off is going to be Heatwave. Heatwave just used to be a fundamental skill that you ran on essentially every single Pyro build, because pretty much every single Pyro build before Worldslayer used the Akari set, so you were just guaranteed to be using Heatwave. Also, its debuff pre-Worldslayer was amazing as well, but now that has changed a lot. Akari isn't always the go-to set. There are a lot of really good sets out there, and then also the debuff on it got nerfed significantly. Now it's only 15% and only stacks twice, so a lot less effective there. There's pretty much no point in running 3 Heatwave. It honestly hurts your build with like the cooldowns and the Pax tree nodes. But overall, Heatwave, I think, lost a lot of its value. It can do pretty decent damage if you spec it out with your mods. Also, it can give you pretty decent gun damage as well if you guys are doing any sort of weapon build. But overall, I think Heatwave fell off significantly since the start of Worldslayer. So overall, I'm gonna have to put it in like the B tier, maybe even like a B minus. But otherwise, if you're still running like Akari in your like phaser beam setups or something like that, you're still gonna be using Heatwave all the time. Next up, we have Feed the Flames. Now, Feed the Flames is really a skill that I pretty much never use unless I'm doing some sort of like volcanic rounds build, and I need to keep my rounds up. I was using it a little bit with the new Pyro set where you get to have like that melee orb. But overall, I think Feed the Flames is just a really good healing option. It can do decent damage. If you guys are doing like the Reforged set, you can get some pretty decent output out of it. But for the most part, it's not really going to be your greatest option in terms of damage. Usually, I just use it for like burst healing and staying alive. So it has its uses, but otherwise, I'm going to put it pretty much right next to Heatwave in that like B tier range, maybe like lower B. But that's my personal opinion on Feed the Flames. Now, moving on over to Thermal Bomb. I used to pretty much only use Thermal Bomb for debuffing with Branded. The actual clearing potential of Thermal Bomb really wasn't that great. It usually took too long for things to explode, and you ended up slowing down your run significantly. Also, its damage wasn't really that great. But now in Worldslayer, they've changed some mods around, so the actual damage Thermal Bomb does is fantastic. But then if you combine it with the new Heat Seeker set, you guys get insane clear speeds, some of the fastest mobbing in the entire game. And also, it's just so satisfying to hear all those popcorn sounds. So overall, I think Thermal Bomb is a great option, whether you want to still use it for debuffing with Branded or use the new Heat Seeker set. It's completely up to you which one you run it with. There's a lot of great ways to be using Thermal Bomb, but overall, I'm going to have to give Thermal Bomb a tier rating. I think it's just overall a solid choice. Next up on the list, we have Overheat. This is personally one of my favorite skills out of the Pyromancer set. It can do pretty much everything for you. 1, it's going to hit essentially every single enemy on the entire map. 2, it's going to heal you for all the different enemies you hit, so it's also a great healing tool. And then also you're going to be able to combine that with like Ash Blast or just any sort of like burns in general for really good clear speeds. Ash Blast and Overheat has been a staple mob clearing combo on the Pyromancer since day one of Outriders, and nothing has changed in that regards now in Worldslayer. So I think Overheat is seriously one of the strongest skills you can be using. It can fit in almost any setup for almost any reason. And not to mention, on top of like healing you and clearing enemies, you can just constantly spam it with a really low cooldown, and it stuns enemies as well. So you get a little bit of breathing room, and it's going to allow you to move around. Like say there's a sniper in the back, you can actually stun them for a second and clear the entire area and then make your way over to the sniper. So there's just so much utility in Overheat on top of its damage. So with all of those benefits, I'm gonna have to give Overheat our first S tier rating. Next up, we have Volcanic Rounds. Now Volcanic Rounds, in my opinion, is the worst Pyromancer skill. It's definitely the worst out of all of the different anomaly bullet skills in terms of the Trickster and the Technomancer, but it can have its uses. It's really good for obviously burning a lot of different things. If you put on the Torturer set, you can hit a lot of enemies with the burns. Also, that's going to be shared now with the new Torturer set and how it shares the anomaly damage with the burning targets and the target that you're hitting. But overall, it's just not that great compared to just using a full-on skill build. You can do really good boss damage with it if you set it up correctly, but your clear speeds are just always going to be slower than any other skill build out there. It's really not worth it, the bossing. And also there are skills in the Pyromancer's set that just allow you to kill bosses just as fast as the crazy hard to put together Volcanic Round builds. So overall, I really just don't think it's that great of an option. If you want to run a firepower build, definitely give it a go. There's some cool tricks you can use with this thing in terms of like boosting your firepower really high while also maintaining really high anomaly. So there are cool things you can do with Volcanic Rounds, but overall, like I said, it is the weakest, so I'm gonna have to give it a C tier rating. Now taking a look at Ash Blast, this is a skill that I've been using almost in every single build that I've been running so far in Worldslayer. It has access to Death Sentence, which is one of the best debuffing mods right now for the Pyro. That's obviously only one slot as well. Also, you can freeze the entire map, so it's going to really help out your survivability. Like I was saying with Overheat, you can combine it with Overheat and then get insane clear speeds on top of that. And it's just going to help you out in so many different ways. Right now in like the trials and the crystal boss, you can just freeze the enemies and charge the crystals. You don't even really have to kill them. Just keep spamming this over and over. And really the only downside of Ash Blast before was its cooldown if you weren't spec'd into the top tree. But now with the Pax tree, you can spam this almost non-stop. So you get all of those debuffs, all the different enemies frozen. It's just overall a fantastic skill, and it's going to be another addition to our S tier next to Overheat. Now looking at my favorite Pyromancer skill in the entire game, Phaser Beam, I think this skill is just overall the most fun. Also, it used to be one of the highest damaging before Worldslayer as well. I just absolutely love running Phaser Beam with the Ikari set. You could hit some nutty numbers, you could one-shot a lot of different bosses. It was just overall a great time. I like how it benefits from your status power, so it's more to kind of build into and perfect your gear. I think it's just an overall great skill. They also kind of buffed it in Worldslayer. Its charge time has been reduced significantly, so it's a lot better for clear speeds as well. You can just spam this all the time. It can kind of be your get out of trouble button. So you just press Phaser Beam and it's going to pop so quick and just guarantee that you get a kill as long as you're aiming at something. You're going to be good to go. It really does not matter. So I think Phaser Beam is in a really, really good spot right now. It's not quite at the top, so I'm going to have to give it an A tier next to Thermal Bomb. Finally, let's take a look at Eruption. Now, Eruption used to be my most hated skill on the Pyromancer before Worldslayer. It just overall took way too many mods to make it good. It just did not deal enough damage, and there was just nothing really going for it. Its cooldown was still way too long, and I could never get any good success out of Eruption, but that did a huge 180 with Worldslayer. Pretty much the Apocalypse gear and the Pax trees solved all of the issues that I had with Eruption. So now with the Apocalypse gear, you guys can fit on more mods, and that's going to allow you to spec into Eruption while maintaining all of your normal like core building mods. And then with the Pax tree, you get insane cooldown as well. So you can spam Eruptions nonstop. You can have 3 of them and just constantly be spamming these. And then overall right now, the damage on Eruption with the Lava Lich set is absurd. That build is by far my favorite in Worldslayer right now. You can kill the final boss of Trials solo in just one round of eruptions, your 3 eruptions, with the proper setup. It is just overall the best single target damaging skill for the Pyromancer right now. Also, the radius on this thing is crazy as well if you have Giga Blast, so it's going to allow you guys to clear huge hordes of mobs as well if you're taking those out. So it can do pretty much anything you want it to do, and overall I'm going to have to put Eruption as well in our S tier. In conclusion, I think the Pyro's skills are in an amazing spot, and just to recap our tier list so far, we have Overheat, Ash Blast, and Eruption in our S tier, Thermal Bomb and Phaser Beam in our A tier, Heat Wave, Feed the Flames in our B tier, and then in our C tier we're going to have Volcanic Rounds. If you guys think anything should be higher or lower on this tier list, make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below. Be happy to talk about all of these different rankings with you guys down there. But hopefully this gave you guys some ideas and different ways to building, and also just where these skills are stacking up against each other right now in Worldslayer, and probably will maintain their spots as the game progresses. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. It really does help me out. Also consider subscribing for more Outriders content. But anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.